Hello everyone, it's Jake from Talk Too Much, and today I wanted to cover the new Undertone movie that was just released recently. And I guess the answer to the question is it all scare? Is it all audio? I'm going to be giving some of my thoughts of it. I did think that this movie came out at a perfect time, Friday the 13th. Why not? And this is a movie with only $500,000 budget, which I thought was pretty impressive. And for what they were dealt with, I'm safely here to say that I am impressed. Now, I wouldn't say that, this is the scariest movie of all time, by no means, but definitely it caught my eye a little bit because the main thing that I believe I heard from the director and as well as the other cast members is it's all sound. Everything that you are experiencing and all the feelings that you are going to get is strictly through sound. It's going to be nothing else. You're not going to get insane visuals. You're not really going to get a violent film either. It's completely designed to just creep you out. So I'm going to go through some of the positives, some of the negatives, and some things I'm just a little mixed on, and then my overall thoughts, just to kind of give you an idea if you ever do think about seeing this movie. And starting off with the positives, the biggest one I do have to give is they captured the sound perfectly. It had so many intense moments where I was just kind of sitting in my seats. I was just uncomfortable the whole time, but that's exactly what I wanted to get out of this movie is I want you to give me something new in the horror genre that I haven't experienced before. And if I can get that, then you're going to give mainly positive feedback from me. And that's what I love about this is it doesn't shoot for the visuals. It doesn't shoot to make you see violent things like a slasher movie. It's a little bit psychological on those ends too. But I definitely have to give props to the lead cast member and just the whole setting. It's all within one house. Which I will lead into another positive here is the setting. It's all one house. It's simply just about a podcaster named Evie, and as well as her other podcaster Justin, and just someone sends over these 10 audio tapes and was like, "Hey, check this out under this weird email address." And so they, at the same time, the main character is their mother is as well in hospice. So she's having to do the podcast as well as check after her mom, make sure she's still breathing and things like that when she's near towards the end of her life. So I thought the story and the way they were telling everything was great. It was a phenomenal setup. The creepy tone was just it throughout the whole movie. And I loved how they kind of ease you into it slowly, but also at the same time when they're shooting certain scenes, they're like it's focused on the main character, but they're also slowly centering in on like the dark background, like something could be there, and it gets you in that moment of like, is something going to be back there when it comes to every single scene that they are switching through. And I guess I will go with another positive and say that the camera structure and the way they chose that with the lighting worked so well with with the audio. I thought this was all going to be sound and everything else, story wise, camera style wise, acting wise, it was all going to suck. And that's what I was ultimately afraid of. And I'm happy to say we didn't get that here. Every single shot, every single time the sound would move from one side to the other, it had my attention. It had me going. There were a million ways of just wondering how is this going to end. And as they were going through each audio file, all the 10 audio files, what made it even more intense was that they would stop after a certain point, and then you get to the next day where they're spending the time outside the podcast leading to other things that could have to do with the underlying story, some religious purposes, some demonology. So it did remind me a lot of the first Conjuring, although I would say the Conjuring has nothing on this, personal opinion here. And I love that it brought me those feelings back where this is like the first Conjuring. You're having those really spooky moments, really creepy vibes that are coming along. And I love that it just stuck with it all the way through. There was not one single moment where it was lacking at all. On to my mixed things. Now, this is some of the more so mixed feelings I have with the film. It does tend to carry a lot of generic tropes to the movie, It's all about religion, it's all about demonology, bringing spirits into your house. Um, Now, and it's fine and all, but it's just like, from a story aspect, if you were to take this audio away, or at least if they wouldn't have tried as hard with the audio as they did, this would have been more so of a generic horror film that's just kind of underwhelming. And I feel like that is kind of one thing at the very end. It made me think about it a lot where, yeah, the story's simple, but all the lighting, all the things that they are focusing on, and with the sound, it helps change the story up to where it's still refreshing, and it's told a different way, but it's not something that you probably haven't seen before. That's my one mixed thing, but it's again leaning still so on the positive side because it wasn't very distracting. Like, oh, here we go again. Here's another one of these horror tropes that we haven't seen a million times before. It definitely changed those kind of perspectives and those expectations when I went into this. And I didn't even go into this with high expectations. I saw it was pretty divisive. Either you're going to really love it, you're going to appreciate what it had to do with the genre, or it's something where you're going to be like, this was way too overhyped for me. It's not the scariest thing in the world. The only thing that really does to it is audio. Everything else sucks. And so I am happy to say I lean more towards the positive side on these things. So that's my one little mix thing. I didn't really have much. A lot of my things were pretty split. It's either a negative or a positive. Now, my one negative, maybe two, is that I felt like I didn't get enough info on these characters and what they have gone through in their life, which there's really only two characters that you see on screen. Everyone else is through a phone or through the podcast. You don't hear or see anyone else. It's a pretty small cast, so it's mainly the main character as well as her mother that you're seeing on screen. And whereas I did think they did a great job with their performances and portraying what is going on, the big issue is that you're not really getting a lot of backstory, to say. There are certain coincidences that go on with the audio tapes where something would happen to the main character, and then coincidentally enough, the next tape that they would hear on their podcast, it lines up with what happened to the main character. And so it kind of does this whole back and forth thing where everything that she is experiencing, it's talked about in the next tape. And it goes like that all the way through until you get to the very last tape, and then you kind of get where this is going. It's nothing, like I said, it's nothing new, nothing crazy. But that was kind of the one letdown, is I just didn't feel like there was enough with those characters. And they were kind of throwing names out left and right that I didn't know any of these people, didn't really care for them. And I kind of wish I just had more background on them, kind of had a little bit more care for them. Whereas the whole time I'm focusing on the audio, I still wanted something from the story too. That wasn't the only thing out of this experience that I wanted, was just to have a great audio section. It was also, I wanted there to be a good story. That was very, very important to me. And so, whereas it did lack a couple of things here and there, the characters were just something that was probably the biggest letdown, because I just wanted more out of them. I wanted to understand them more. I wanted to support them more. I wanted to just be all the way. I wanted to know as many things about this main character going into this movie as I could. But really, you only find out a couple of things, which I won't spoil for you, but only a couple of things that don't really lead to anywhere. And that was another disappointing thing. Overall, I did have a great time with this movie. I can't wait to watch it again. I'm going to try and make sure my audio setup is the best as possible for this movie, because the experience with the audio is a game changer. It's what really makes this movie. That, going along with the story and everything, and just not knowing what's going to happen next, this would be a great movie to watch with people who either don't watch the horror genre much, or they need a spooky movie for Halloween. It is a perfect one to watch for those occasions. Funny enough, I think I started the movie with 4 people in my theater, and then by the time I was stretching and getting up and the credits were rolling, I was like, man, I might have to go to church after seeing this one. And then I just looked behind me, and 2 people were gone, and the woman in the very back was on her phone, which told me either she didn't care for the movie, or that she kind of just didn't get comfortable and wanted to just watch her phone for the rest of the time, which I can understand that. Everybody views horror differently. Sometimes it scares you, sometimes it don't. But this is the first time I had an experience where I watched people walk out and I was just thinking, oh, they're probably getting snacks or something there in the movie. No, they just left the theater, and that's the thing is they left after like tape 6. They didn't even stay all the way through to like tape 10, and then everything happened and they left. They kind of got to tape 6 and they were like, nope, I'm checking out here. So I thought that was kind of fun. But see it if you want a good horror experience. I can't praise this enough. I think it's gonna be great for Halloween time. I think it's gonna be great to watch with friends who are new to the genre. It really brings a nice, refreshing taste. It's something that we have needed. Everything has been done multiple times, and to hear someone bring in something with sound and just have it to the level that this is at, I can't praise it enough for that. And just the fact that it was a $500,000 to make this, it doesn't show at all. You can't tell at all. To me, if I was to see this, I probably would have guessed it's at least at 2 or 3 million minimum. And finding that out and then looking at the setting and stuff and just all that they did, it kind of blew my mind a little bit more and had me at a new appreciation for this film. So overall, this is my score down below on the side right here. That's what I'm going to give it for this movie. Hope to catch you guys in the next video. And thank you very much if you subscribe or like. Let me know in the comments what you thought about this movie. I'd like to hear. Or if there's any other horror movies that actually did scare you to your core, let me know down below. And I'd like to have a chat. So